Until the previous video, we have completed how to find argument and modulus of a complex number and how to write the polar form, means trigonometric form of a complex number. Now we are going to begin applications of a modulus and conjugate of a complex number. So before starting with that, applications of modulus and conjugate of a complex number, there is a question which appeared. This question is there in the textbook, NCERT textbook, as well as the exemplar book. And this question appeared in one of the previous IIT exams. So I felt first let us solve it. So at the end of this solution, this question is if Z1, Z2, Z3 are three complex numbers such that the modulus of each of them is same as the overall reciprocal modulation sum equal to 1, we are supposed to find Z1 plus Z2 plus Z3. So first I will solve it, and after solving the properties related to modulus and conjugate of complex number, I will list down so that you can note down, and whenever a similar application comes, you can apply those properties and solve those questions. Now let's begin with this question. This appeared in the previous IIT exam, so I felt something which is from the NCERT book and exemplar book, and that is there in its presence is there, so I felt this I should solve first. So Z1, Z2, Z3 are three complex numbers such that mod Z1, mod Z2, mod Z3 are equal to each other, and it is equal to mod Z1, 1 by Z1 plus 1 by Z2 plus 1 by Z3 is equal to 1. With this information, we have to find modulus of Z1 plus Z2 plus Z3. So from what we are supposed to find, from there we will begin the solution. So this one, so modulus of Z1 plus Z2 plus Z3. We will do a common operation to each term in this modulus. Okay, so Z1 we multiply and divide by the conjugate of Z1. To the second term also, to Z2 we multiply and divide by conjugate of Z2. And to the third one, we multiply and divide by the conjugate of Z3. So from here, every stage some property is being used while simplifying and trying to get the value of this. All the properties I will list down here. So here the numerator is a property. So what is a property? Since we know that a complex number times its conjugate is modulus of that complex number square. Z into Z conjugate is mod Z square. So every numerator is a modulus of that complex number square. So under modulus we are still working. Z1 mod square by Z1 conjugate. Z2 mod square by Z2 conjugate, and Z3 mod square by Z3 conjugate. Now we are told in the question that mod Z1 is 1, mod Z2 is 1, mod Z3 is 1. In that case, mod Z1 square is also 1, mod Z2 square is also 1, mod Z3 square is also 1. So in place of this we'll write 1, in place of this we'll write 1, in place of this we'll write 1. So this ultimately becomes 1 by Z1 conjugate, 1 by Z2 conjugate, 1 by Z3 conjugate. So here the next property of conjugate comes. The next property is Z1 conjugate plus Z2 conjugate plus Z3 conjugate is actually Z1 plus Z2 plus Z3 overall conjugate. So here there is an overall conjugate coming up. This is mod of 1 by Z1 plus 1 by Z2 plus 1 by Z3 overall conjugate. Now the next property that connects the conjugate and modulus. Mod Z conjugate and the mod Z conjugate and mod Z are same. So here this can be written as mod of 1 by Z1 plus 1 by Z2 plus 1 by Z3. And what is the value of this? We are told in the question that Mod of 1 by z1 plus 1 by z2 plus 1 by z3 is 1. So this turns out to be 1. So we were supposed to find the value of this. So we'll give a conclusion. Therefore, mod of z1 plus z2 plus z3 is 1. So 1 is the answer. As I said in the beginning part of the video that I will list down all the properties of conjugate of a complex number followed by modulus properties of modulus. So let us have them. So the first property of conjugate is conjugate of a complex number's conjugate is the complex number itself. But naturally you can try this by taking z is equal to a plus ib and trying out this, you get this. Next z1 plus z2, sum of two complex numbers, overall conjugate is the individual conjugate sum. So conjugate of z1 plus conjugate of z2. These properties one should know very well, because if we know, we can apply directly to the application questions. z1 minus z2 conjugate is z1 conjugate minus z2 conjugate. Next, z1 into z2 overall conjugate is z1 conjugate times z2 conjugate, and the last one is related to division, z1 by z2. Individual conjugate can be written as z1 by z2 overall conjugate, or the overall is equal to individual. So you remember that conjugates, conjugate is a complex number, sum overall conjugate is individual, difference overall conjugate is individual, product overall conjugate is individual, division overall conjugate is also individual. Now we will see the modulus and properties of modulus. Properties of modulus of a complex number. Properties of modulus, we have very little of them. So the first one, mod z and mod conjugate of z are always the same, and this property we used in the before question. Next, the complex number times its conjugate is modulus of the complex number square. This property also we used in the before problem. Then modulus of z1 times z2 is individual modulus of z1 times modulus of z2, and mod of z1 by z2 is mod z1 by mod z2. So these are few properties of conjugate and modulus, whose applications, one of the application just now we saw, and the next application I am going to discuss right now.